Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dallas Hoops Fancast. I'm your host, Sydney, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Martin.
Hey, guys.
You can follow the show on Twitter at Dallas Hoops Cast. You can follow me on Twitter at _Sydney Myers. Martin is at Martin L. Myers. Remember, you can listen to the latest episodes and read exclusive articles at DallasHoopsCast.com. Okay, I just want to say something. I'm just going to put this out there.
Okay.
Hear me out. Willie Cauley-Stein kind of looks like Tyson Chandler, and I think that means something.
I don't think it...
No.
One, I don't think he looks anything like Tyson Chandler.
Okay.
Two, I don't think it means anything.
Pull up a picture of Willie Cauley-Stein and look at his face. And if you're listening...
I've seen his face, and I never thought when I saw him,
Okay.
I was like, hey, Tyson Chandler.
Let me look at this picture.
I got pictures here.
And if you're listening, Google him and look at his face. And, kind of just ignore, the face tattoos, obviously.
And the hair and the grill.
No, look at this one, okay?
Yeah.
He looks like Tyson Chandler.
No.
He does.
No.
He does.
You want him to.
And I'm just saying that I think that means something. Because, obviously, the last time the Mavericks had a guy that looked like Tyson Chandler.
God. Okay.
It was Tyson Chandler.
Stretch.
And they won the championship.
It was Tyson Chandler.
So I think the fact that he looks like him could be a good sign for the Mavericks.
I don't think the Mavericks have big plans for Willie Cauley-Stein.
So, okay, obviously we're talking about the trade. The Mavericks acquired Willie Cauley-Stein from the Warriors. As far as I can tell, the only thing they gave up was the Utah Jazz second-round pick that the Mavericks owned. So the Mavericks still have the Warriors second-round pick, which is probably going to be the 31st pick. So I thought that was interesting. They really had to give up basically nothing for him. And then they also traded Isaiah Roby to the Thunder for Justin Patton, who will probably be waived in order to create the roster spot for Willie Cauley-Stein. So, at the end of it, Isaiah Roby is gone. Willie Cauley-Stein is here. And he looks like Tyson Chandler.
Nope.
And I think that means something.
Nope.
Next thing, though, he's a center. Willie Cauley-Stein, if you look at what position he has played this year, 100% of the time he's been a center. And the same thing last year. It wasn't even 5% of the time he was a power forward. It was just the entire time he was a center. And if they brought him on to take Dwight Powell's minutes, then, offensively, that works because Dwight Powell started at center and he played center on offense, but defensively, Powell played the 4. And I don't know, do you think Willie Cauley-Stein can play the 4? And if not...
On defense?
On defense.
Yeah.
And then therefore, does that say anything about whether or not he's going to start?
So, personally, I don't think he will start. I think the Mavericks are going to run out with that lineup we saw against Portland, which we'll talk about that game here shortly, with Luka, Curry, Hardaway,
and Porzingis.
Porzingis with Dorian Finney-Smith as the 4. I think they prefer that lineup because it gives the 5 out. Everybody's a threat on defense, but also
on offense,
yeah. Correct. But also it takes away the rim protection from the other team because now Porzingis is the 5, so the 5 has to guard. No matter who he guards, he's going to be guarding a 3-point shooter. So he's going to be away from the court. I thought the Mavericks always wanted to do this. I thought they did a lot of the small ball when Porzingis was out. Now, it wasn't as effective because well, it was Powell as the 5, and then they would have Justin Jackson. And for some reason, we never started Curry during that time period as far as I can remember. But there's a couple of things I like with this. One, yes, you play the 5 out. Porzingis can play the 5, which is more natural for him, in my opinion, anyways.
In today's NBA.
In today's league, yes. Plus, it adds another playmaker and shooter, elite shooter and adequate playmaker. One of the biggest problems that the Mavericks have is they don't have an elite playmaker to play next to Luka. Now, they still don't have that, but having Curry and Hardaway out there with Luka at the same time, one of them can make a capable play at any point within the game. So, yes, they don't have that one dominant playmaker. Now they have 2 adequate ones, but both of them are elite shooters right now.
Yeah.
So I think the Mavericks, in my personal opinion, I think that's the starting lineup they're going to roll out barring some disaster or just doesn't work out, I think they got Cauley-Stein more to help spread the minutes and share the load, so that way Maxey, who can't play a lot of minutes, according to Carlisle, he doesn't like to play a lot, and neither can Porzingis. So them just separating doesn't make sense. You need a third guy who can play 10 minutes or so.
Well, and it just based on what I've seen this year, it seems like he doesn't want to play Boban a lot of minutes either.
Right. I mean, Boban, his body can't handle it.
Yeah. Well, and he's so big and slow that you can't rely on like, teams, okay, we have to play him, 10 to 15 minutes, because some games you don't want to play him at all. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing about the 5-out offense. It worked really well against Portland. And we've talked before about how it would be so deadly. And
it was.
Yeah, it
offensively,
was. Yeah. And a few, or I don't know, several episodes ago, I was talking about the physical defense that teams play against the Mavs and how it affects Luka, and the comments from Steve Nash about how he dealt with the same thing, teams just beating him up. And he said what would have helped is if we had like shot more threes, like played 5-out and played faster. And so I think, and that really made me think, because his point was like what you said, if you're playing 5-out, then the big man, he's not down there, he's out guarding Porzingis. And so if Luka can get past his man, there's no one there to tackle
Zero protection,
him. Yeah. And then also it seemed like in the game last night, their tempo was a little faster, and that helps too, because teams can't beat you up and slap your wrists and hit you upside the head if they're trying to run with you. Not that they played at a breakneck speed, they weren't the 7 seconds or left.
They did have 30 fast break points, which was a season high.
But it doesn't have to be super fast, but just the pace seemed a little quicker. But really, I think the 5-out is what helps the most to keep the defense stretched out so much. And so, yeah, like I was saying, I don't think Cauley-Stein can play the 4 on defense. So I kind of expect him to come off the bench, but
I think it was more to just help with minute-wise. Obviously, if somebody else gets hurt, say Maxey sprains his ankle and is out 5 games, you didn't want to go with just Boban and Porzingis in that sequence. So it's kind of an insurance policy also to make sure that Maxey's not playing more than 25 minutes and Porzingis isn't playing more than 30. This is just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think Carlisle has been wanting to do the small ball lineup with Porzingis at the 5 for a long time. And unfortunately, in these circumstances, it's worked out that way, where he played him at the 5. The good thing is Porzingis kind of liked it.
Yeah, his comments after the game, were you going to talk about that?
Well, I think the reason why, so he said that he likes it. Why did he say he likes it?
Well, they asked him, like, what are the pros and the cons, or was there anything you didn't like about it? And he said, there's a lot of benefits to it. He was like, on defense, obviously I can protect the rim. And then on offense, you just have more space because that big man doesn't want to come out that far. And we saw that against Portland.
He could have shot it every time.
Yeah, it was like he would catch it at the top of the 3-point, top of the key, and I was like, he's got the space to shoot it if he wants to. I know he can't shoot it every time, but he has a lot more space, and so he was talking about that too. And then they asked him, were there any cons to it? And he said, no, not really. He was like, I just like playing. I don't really care what position I play in. I've always heard that he didn't want to play the 5.
It's possible he didn't.
Yeah, or maybe he changed his mind.
But with this offense, he probably sees the benefits of it. Now, it remains to be seen how the Mavericks are affected defensively. The game against Portland is really hard to judge because really Lillard came down about 7-8 times within the game and just pulled up from 3 from like 28 feet. Yeah. And he made, 8 of those.
Yeah.
And he shot a really high percentage from 3. So that kind of impacted their overall 124 points. Because of that, he had 47. So I don't really know how their defense is going to be impacted. For some reason, I want to say it will be better. One, because there's really no drop-off defensively from Powell. You can fill any person.
Whoever,
yes, and it's no disrespect to Powell, but defensively,
that was never his strength.
He was, exactly. And so adding Curry in there, that just gives you another wing defender, and he's actually kind of an underrated defender. So I'm curious to see how it's going to work out with Utah because obviously Rudy Gobert. Gobert is elite, probably the best rim protector in the league, but him being stretched all the way out to where he has to guard Porzingis, what decision does he make, and how does that impact the Mavs? I feel like that's a benefit to the Mavericks.
Well, and there's so few teams that have two bigs. So like Utah, it's not like they have Favors and Gobert anymore. They just have Gobert. So with Porzingis starting at the 5, like that's not really a disadvantage if you have like Dorian at the 4. Now, I mean, there's some teams where you might have to make adjustments, and maybe that's why they got Willie Cauley-Stein. But yeah, I don't know. I like Porzingis playing at the 5. I think offensively it just makes so much sense. And then also I don't think Cauley-Stein can start at the 4 anyways.
Well, and the Jazz play Royce O'Neal at power forward. He's listed at 6'4".
Yeah. So
6'4".
and a lot of teams are like that.
So I think they'll probably run that same lineup out there against the Jazz. I'm curious to see how the Jazz respond, because really the Jazz have had a very easy schedule. They haven't played a good team in a long time.
Yeah.
And they haven't faced the Mavericks yet this year. So I know they're always historically a really good defensive team, and it's almost impossible to win in Utah. But I'd like to see how this offense with the 5 out, with Porzingis at the 5, impacts a good defensive team.
Well, the Jazz, I was looking at the notes today, and the Jazz have won the season series, I want to say the last 2 or 3 seasons or more. Last season, they swept the season series. Now, this is a different team. I mean, the Mavericks haven't been very good the last 2-3 seasons.
Oh, I thought we beat them last year by like 50. There was a 50-point win.
Yeah,
but
you're
we still
right.
lost the season series, and we have been, because we haven't been good, and they have.
Yeah.
You know, and
so, but yeah, I mean, like going back to the starting Porzingis at the 5, it's like I was saying, the Jazz have Gobert, but then Royce O'Neal is 6'4", or like, you know, even the Thunder, they have Steven Adams, but they don't have another, you know, traditional big next to him. The Rockets have Clint Capella, but they don't have another huge big. I mean, like a lot of these teams, they have a dominant guy inside, but it's not like they have 2.
Yeah.
So you don't really, in terms of size, it's not something that you usually need to worry about. I mean, even the Clippers, size is not really their strength.
Right, and I think having Porzingis at the 5 kind of negates the rim protection of Gobert. Obviously, he's still going to be a force throughout the game, but you're limiting how much he's going to impact the game having Porzingis. Because if he's all the way out on Porzingis, then it just opens up the lane for a driver. But if he sags off of Porzingis is willing to shoot from 40 feet. So I like it. I think the Mavericks are going to run with that lineup. I really like the lineup in general. Another reason why I liked it is because it took another ball handler off of that second unit. I thought one of the reasons why Delon and Jalen have been kind of inconsistent, and really Seth for that matter, is because all 3 of them play at the same time.
Yeah, their minutes are sometimes inconsistent.
And Jalen will get 10 minutes a game, and moving Seth to the starting lineup allows Jalen a little more freedom and Delon a little more freedom. They played together a lot in the game.
Yeah.
And they're able to have more minutes, have more opportunities to make a play, because it kind of shortens the rotation. I know the Mavericks only played 9 players against the Blazers. And I know that's not how Carlisle likes to do it. But really, in all honesty, when he shortened the lineup, that just means your best players have the ball in their hands the most frequently, instead of trying to run 11 guys out there.
Yeah, they were, Reggie Miller was talking about during the game how Carlisle, he always likes to go like 10 or 11 deep. And it's like, it doesn't matter who is on the roster. You could have Michael Jordan and then a bunch of just nobodies, but he would still go 15 deep in the game. And it's like, it's
just not necessary.
Yeah.
I know they have all this data that they look into about longevity of players and all that. I get that, but that doesn't mean you have to play that many guys.
Yeah.
So
once you get to your bench, those guys aren't going to be playing a lot of minutes anyways.
Right. So I liked how it shortened the lineup, and it gave more opportunities for Jalen and Delon to make plays and not just be standing there staring at somebody else make a play.
So here's a question. What does Willie Cauley-Stein bring to the team? I mean, we think he's going to come off the bench, but regardless, what do you think are his strengths, or what can they look forward to? Other than the fact that he looks like Tyson Chandler.
I haven't watched a lot of Willie Cauley-Stein other than the fact that he can jump really high and really good at dunking alley-oops. But
Sounds like Dwight Powell.
yeah, exactly. So it sounds exactly like Dwight Powell. Now a lot of people think that he's just going to fit right into that starting lineup, and he very may well. Their decision, the Mavericks' decision, may be for him to start.
Yeah.
I don't see how it works defensively, but that's what they say that they're probably going to do. But I think it's more of having a guy who can roll. I think you'll see a lot of minutes with him and Maxey playing together. And I think he'll be a role man for Luka. He'll probably be playing a lot with Luka. But it's really just having a quality big come off your bench.
Yeah. So this year he's averaged 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks as a starter. He's playing 23 minutes a game. And then last year he averaged 12 points, 8 rebounds. Year before that it was about 13.7 rebounds. He's not a skilled big. He's like an energy big. Mm-hmm. He's a roll guy. Mm-hmm. He'll roll and dunk it, or he'll stay around the basket and get a tip in, or he'll a block, or he'll hustle the ball away on the offensive board. He's that kind of player. He's like the energy, and like you're not gonna give the ball to him. He can't really shoot it. Probably doesn't have any post moves, but he fills that role of a big man that can roll. And I mean, like you said, they might start him. He's played center his entire career. Maybe they think he can play power forward. I mean, that remains to be seen. But
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Next question. Do you think that this is the last trade they're going to make? Because like I said, all they traded was the Utah Jazz second round pick, as far as I know. I mean, all these other assets that people talked about, they still have.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens with this Delon Wright situation.
Yeah.
He has complained in the past about, or maybe not so much complained, but he has mentioned about the whole bench start thing. You can tell he didn't really agree with the decision, but whatever the coach needed, fine. But then Darrell Wright, his brother, came out with the tweet.
Let me read his tweet. He said, some dudes get the bag. That means money. They make a lot of money. Just translating.
Oh, okay, cool. I did not know that.
Some dudes get the bag and be happy to play, maybe play. I don't know. He said play, maybe play. You got a dude that does all the little things to help your team win every night, and you don't use him. LOL, watch out. I'm fed up. I don't know what that last part means, but basically, we assume he's talking about Delon.
Well, obviously, in the Clipper game, he didn't play a lot of minutes, but he made a huge play at the end of the game with getting the steal.
Yeah.
And he does do a lot of the little things. Now, he is a little inconsistent with scoring the ball. What is impacting that? Is that just him, his decision-making, or is it because we had too many guards out there with him? He didn't have enough opportunities.
Yeah, I feel like I interrupted you.
No. So it remains to be seen, really, what's going to happen with Dorian.
With
Delon. Yeah. Personally, I don't think they will make a move unless it is something that's going to put them in true contention status. But I don't think they have the pieces to do that.
Yeah. My thing with Delon is like he's more skilled than I thought. As a ball handler, he's a pretty good playmaker, and sometimes he has these drives that like require a lot of skill to make the shot. But then sometimes he's hesitant or I don't know.
He's not aggressive.
Yeah.
Every time.
And sometimes he whines, which annoys me. But so I don't know. It's like the hesitancy that's different from a lack of skill. Like he clearly has skill, but he doesn't always use it. And what causes that? I don't know.
Yeah, you've seen games where he is being aggressive and he's impacting the game. Carlisle will keep him out there and play him a lot of minutes. But then he'll have a game where he kind of just disappears. He's not really involved.
Yeah.
He's not really being aggressive. Carlisle's not going to play him a lot in those games. And it's hard to say, well, you need to play him more. But when he's out there, he's not doing anything. And Carlisle's really big on if you got a player who... That's why he plays 50 players a night, is because one of them's bound to have a big night, and that one's going to get rewarded with heavy minutes or heavier minutes.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. It goes back to the thing we've said, or that I've said before. I feel like some players have a really short leash, and some players will get their minutes no matter what.
From Carlisle, like
From Carlisle.
he shows favoritism. Yeah,
And I mean, I guess that is the definition of favoritism.
it is. Yeah,
But yeah, it's like some guys, and he'll say this, like, you know, you gotta be ready, stay ready. You know, you gotta play hard, be aggressive. You know, persistence, defense, like that's what's gonna get you on the court. And some guys, he holds them to that. And if they're not focused or not playing well, they're out of the game. And then some guys, they play 30 minutes no matter what, And it's like, I don't understand. I like the logic of what you do with this other guy, but it doesn't seem like you do it across the board.
well, and that there's two players. One is Dorian Finney-Smith. The other was Dwight Powell, who are favorites of Carlisle. He loves them. I think Dorian's leading the team in minutes. So I don't know if that means anything, but as much as I love Dorian, is he really the guy that's overall impacting your game so much where he has to play the most minutes? Now, a lot of that's probably because his body type and his genes where he can play heavy minutes and have no problem.
They're big on, like, how many minutes can your body handle.
Yes, and he is never injured. He's never sore. He's never sprained his ankle. He doesn't do anything like the amount of minutes he plays seems to have no impact on him.
So he averages 29 and a half minutes. Porzingis is at 31. Luka is at 33.
Okay, so the third highest, yeah. And then, the other guy was Powell, and both of those, they can do no wrong with Carlisle. But other players just, I mean, in all honesty, yes, they are. And
so
Carlisle has done that in the past.
Yeah, so I feel like Delon is on that same
short leash.
Yeah, he has
and his brother isn't helping him.
Yeah, he's just making it work because Carlisle's not going to be like, okay.
Yeah, Carlisle's got a lot of pride. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he played at all.
Yeah.
You know, but he played, and Carlisle's kind of grown a little bit too. He's not as tough, stiff-nosed as he used to be. So maybe he's, hey, I have a young guy here who wants to play. So just played him. And Delon played well against Portland.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, to be fair, Delon does sometimes lack urgency or aggressiveness. I don't know.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like, he is a skilled offensive player and he's a very good defender. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like defense is a priority for any of these guys right now, but he has the skill to be a good defender.
I think Delon is he's an elite help side defender. Okay. Like he's good at cutting the passing lanes or jumping the passing lanes, getting his hands when somebody's driving that's not really his player. He can kind of reach over and steal the ball. But one-on-one on-ball defense, I think he's okay with that. There's been a lot of times where he's kind of slow-footed laterally. He gets blown right past. Now, he can recover sometimes and sneak in there for a block or a late rip. But a lot of times, he gets burned and it's a wide-open layup. So I think he's an okay on-ball defender, but I think he's an elite help-side defender.
Okay, so here's my thing with the defense right now. Because Delon Wright, we've seen him be a good defender. Dorian Finney-Smith, I know that he's a good defender. But I don't feel like anybody is really focused on defense right now. And those guys are included. So I feel like I know that Dorian Finney-Smith, or I think he is a better defender than what he's doing right now. And same thing with Delon, because I don't think
the heart's just not in it for him.
Yeah, I think collectively the team just doesn't prioritize it. And so those guys, they fall into that because they're not the leaders. They fall into what the team does.
Well, they also know they can score basically anytime down the court.
Yeah.
And so deep down in the back of their head, they got to be thinking, we're going to be able to score on these guys. So their energy isn't there all the time on defense. The problem is when you play teams that do bring the energy on defense and slow you down.
You can't score every time down the
court. Right.
And
And one thing I thought about when I was driving home my hour commute from work is the Mavericks don't know how to win ugly now.
Yes.
They don't know how to play. Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's not freak out.
That is it.
All right.
Okay.
But elite teams like the Clippers, even if they're not shooting well or things aren't going their way and it's physical, they're able to win those games. But the Mavericks haven't developed that ability to play ugly. A lot of that's experience, recognizing that if we got to win games when our offense isn't always going.
Yes, you are saying everything that I've been feeling and thinking that I haven't been able to put into words.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what it's like. Why do these things happen? Or like why do they always do this? Or why can't and that's what it is. If their shot and okay. Taking out the Portland game because I know the Blazers went on a run. That's because they were down.
And we're going to talk about that run. Okay.
Well, I feel like we've already talked about the game. So okay, but like my point was that just erase it. Okay, but yes, whenever like their shot isn't falling or the defense is playing them really tightly or the team is making a comeback or they're playing some weird full court press or when whatever. It's not a perfect game on all sides. It's like they don't know, they forget how to play or they can't win those games.
And it's not that they forget. It's just there's an extra level of execution.
Yeah.
There's an extra level of focus that you have to get to not get the ball stolen or ripped from you, to not get your shot blocked, to not turn it over.
Or to make the shot regardless of the defense.
And so there's an extra level of that focus. And I don't think, because they're such a young team, and we talked about this before, none of the players on the starting lineup, other than the Portland game, have been on a winning team.
Yeah.
Obviously Seth started and he's been on winning teams. Yeah. So, but other than that, they've never won. So they don't know what that extra gear is. That's why losses to the Clippers and the Lakers and other teams, they suck when they happen. They do. But ultimately, that's galvanizing this young team. It's teaching them how to win those games. Whether they're going to learn that this year, I doubt it. That just kind of comes with experience.
Yeah.
But those losses are actually important in the long run because they see how it's actually done.
And that's why it's not done.
Exactly. And that's why making the playoffs and making it as far as you can go is important, because the further you get into the playoffs, the better those teams are, and those teams know how to win. And right now, the Mavericks would probably, let's say they made it to the second round and face the Clippers, they'd probably go knocked out 4-1. Yeah. Really similar to the young Nash, Dirk, Finley Mavs
they
when
were
they
an
faced the
powerhouse.
And the first round they won, and then they faced the Sacramento Kings in the second round and just got destroyed. Yeah. Even though they had a better record and were a better offensive team. So I think that's what the Mavericks are dealing with right now. So when things get ugly, they can win some of them, but they can't win consistently and against the really elite teams.
Well, that's like, if you think about Dirk in just his whole career, the way that defenses would play him was so physical. Well, because he's in the post, it's just naturally more physical, but teams would like be fouling him just constantly the whole time, arms and hands all over him. But, they're not going to call it every time. But he got to the point, like all superstars and all, all-time greats do, he could score no matter what the defense did. Even if he got fouled, he would make it anyway, and maybe they called a foul, maybe they didn't, but he was going to score no matter what. And Luka has to get to that point. Obviously, that's asking a lot, but that's the point you have to get to on a really high level for Luka to score no matter what the defense does. But also taking it down just to the team of being able to play and score and get good shots and hit big shots regardless of what the defense does.
And this goes back, and I know it's kind of a little bit, we're kind of all over the place now. Yeah. But this is the concern I have with the lack of mid-range game. Because in those situations where the defense is all up on you and is very physical, to try to shoot threes and step back threes in that situation, the percentages plummet.
Yeah.
So you have to have a go-to move in the mid-range where, yes, the points per possession is lower, but your chances of making that shot are way higher, especially if you can develop a go-to move.
Yeah, I think it's not even so much like, okay, let me try to get it. It's more just having the ability to take any shot.
Yes.
It's just,
exactly. Yeah. And the thing with Dirk also is he learned to enjoy the physicality because when a player was really physical with him, he kind of felt where he was. He knew what kind of angles he had. And I think Luka's got to do that. I think Luka hates it right now.
Yeah.
I think it drives him insane.
He's not even trying to make the shot.
Yeah.
He's just hoping they call a foul.
Yeah. But I think he's got another gear that he will eventually go into. But yeah, that's what I think of the Mavs. And I don't know how we started talking about.
I don't know either,
that,
but you hit
they don't
the
know how
nail
to
on
win
the
ugly.
head. Yeah, they don't know how to win ugly games when things don't go their way, or the other team is making a comeback, or when the officials aren't calling the fouls, or like whatever it is. They can sometimes win because they have a really great offense,
or if they're going against a team that's just not as good
like
as them.
Portland, who's just not a very good team.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the circumstances have to be perfect in order for them to win, and if they're not, you're not sure. Like if I'm watching them play the Lakers or the Clippers or whatever team plays them that way, it's like, ooh, I don't know what's going to happen in this game because.
And if the Lakers or the Clippers decide to show up, then they're probably going to win
worse.
that game.
Yeah,
if they don't show up, then you have a good chance at winning. But yeah, I mean that's really the definition of a young team, a young good team.
Yeah.
They'll win 50 wins. I believe they will. I know there's a lot that still think that they're going to come back down to earth, whatever that means. But I believe that they will win 50 games and they'll be a really good young team. And they might get out of the first round depending on the matchup. I don't think they get any further than that. I'd be surprised if they did.
Well, we have Tyson Chandler Jr. this year, so we
it's all
win
gonna
it
change.
all. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know how we got on that either, but somehow it went from Willie Cauley-Stein to Delon Wright can't get minutes to we're winning the championship. But I think we did somehow get onto Delon Wright because my question was, are they going to make any other moves?
Yes, and I don't think they will unless it's for that guy that's going to take him over the edge.
And I don't think, first of all, that guy isn't available.
And even if he was, we don't have anybody to give them because to get that guy, you got to give up really quality assets.
Like some of the names I've heard thrown around, Bogdanovich.
Which is a nice player to have, but he's not the guy.
Yeah. Robert Covington, obviously they've been linked to him forever. Let me see, Tristan Thompson, but that was back when they needed to fill minutes for Powell. Nemanja Bjelica.
Which that one I like.
Yeah, but that was just kind of an idea. And then Gallinari. So Kevin O'Connor wrote a piece saying that the Mavs were interested in Gallinari. He also said that he didn't think they had the assets for it, but they're interested in it.
Again, now if that one is a little more intriguing because it allows the Mavs to play small ball. And if Porzingis is okay with it,
then go all in on it.
In my opinion, that opens up the field for you because now Robert Covington is that much more valuable. But I also really liked having Seth in there because they just don't have an elite playmaker. So when you have Tim and Seth, it kind of makes up a little bit for that, and it takes them to another level. So we'll see what happens in the Utah game. Maybe they kind of like this lineup.
How it works well, and to your point about being able to use the mid-range game, your face.
Now you have to edit that.
I'm not editing that.
Wow.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is very good in the mid-range.
And so is Seth.
Seth Curry is actually very good in the mid-range too. I mean, he's a shooter, so he can shoot it from anywhere.
And Porzingis used to be. So, maybe one of these years they'll shoot a mid-range shot with Porzingis, but we'll see what happens. Having Porzingis being able to shoot it from 30 feet, and if he does that consistently, I mean, going forward, that's just going to make them so dangerous, even more dangerous on offense than they already are.
I just feel like there's so many things they have to learn. Like, we were talking earlier, the two things that I want Luka to work on this summer is free throws and 3-point shooting, and then also learning to just stop shooting threes when they're not going in.
Which we thought he did learn that.
But he apparently did not, because against Portland it just... No, I mean, they still won. But, because... And I think it's kind of the whole team, like, they shoot a lot of threes, which I don't have a problem with because they have a lot of good shooters. But sometimes they'll drive it, and I don't know how many times against Portland... They would drive it and then pass it out, and I would be like, you had a layup. And it was like Luka or Seth or whoever, they drive it or they get a pull-up, but then they pass it out.
Well, whenever I watched it again, Whiteside is a really good recovery guy. Like, he can recover really, really well. So there's times when a layup looks open and he can recover really quickly and get a block shot. And I think it was more of, instead of trying to force a layup on Whiteside, they dished it out to a wide open three.
Maybe.
And really the entire game at War, they scored 133
True,
points. Now
yeah.
everybody's freaking out because of the 25 points they lost it. But when you rewatch that run that the Blazers went on, the Mavericks still ran their offense. They were still getting wide open threes. There was a couple things they can clean up.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was the same thing. They just weren't dropping.
Well, and yeah, when we watched it the second time, a lot of the guys that were on the court, it was like
Justin
Jackson. Yeah, it wasn't their lineup of
Right.
Now, like, for a little bit, Seth was out there and Luka was out there, but for some of that, it was their bench guys. It was like, you know, Dorian shooting a three, or Justin Jackson, or like all these guys are pretty good shooters, but it's not like it was Kristaps and Luka choking out there.
So I thought they played really well during that run. Other than missing shots,
Yeah.
they didn't. Dame literally
He
would
shot
just
from the logo. There's nothing
he
you
would
can do about that.
dribble down to about a 40-foot line and just pull up, and he
Yeah.
happened to swish it every single time.
Yeah.
If the Mavericks panicked like they've done in the past, then they would have gone to a little bit more ISO ball. They wouldn't have ran their offense. They would have been turning it all over the place. I thought they did not do that. The crowd was going nuts. They were running their offense. They were getting open shots. They just weren't falling. Eventually, they started falling again, and then they withstood the run.
Well, and then, you know, it was I think it was a Dorian three or maybe a Seth Curry three that kind of it ended a drought that the Mavericks were in.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, the Blazers still played really well, and it kind of stayed like a 10, 9, 11-point game for the rest of the game. But the run was over. The Mavericks turned it around, and they refocused, and they finished it off, which, like you said, they don't always do that.
It really, I know it was only an 8-point game, but really it was 11.
Because of that random three.
The guy shot a
That
3 at
dude
the end of the game to pad his stats. Yeah.
yeah.
And so that's what made it an 8-point game. But anyways, that's the Blazers game. And those are my thoughts on that.
So you don't anticipate any more trades, although I would also like to have Gallinari, but I don't think they have the pieces for it. So.
No.
Okay. So that's Willie Cauley-Stein. Let us know your thoughts on that. We're going to move on to another topic, but you can tweet us. Let us know what you think of Cauley-Stein. Do you think he's going to start? How did you feel when you heard the news? And Martin, this is a question for you too. How did you feel when you heard the news?
Blah.
Yeah.
It was like, oh.
I mean, I've
blah.
never been like the biggest Willie Cauley-Stein fan, just because he was a really high pick and just, I think you could call him a bust.
Yeah, bust. Yeah.
And so I never had high thoughts of him at all. And so when I heard they got him, I was like, oh man, like I never really thought
it's such
he was
a buzzkill because the Mavericks trade for Willie Cauley-Stein.
But that's
so disrespectful to him. Thankfully, he'll never listen to this.
This is a fan podcast. We're just we're just spitballing. It's not all gonna be gold. But and I think when I look at it as like, okay, they just gave up the second round pick. I don't even know if he's gonna start to fill in the minutes. I get it. I think it works. And then when I looked at his picture and realized he looked like Tyson Chandler.
No, he doesn't. Doesn't look anything like Tyson Chandler.
Anyways, it's okay to be wrong. So, but yeah, let us know your thoughts. Okay, so next topic. Well, we kind of already talked about the Portland game, right?
Yeah, I think we've covered that. My
Okay.
main thing was a lot of people felt, and really some other podcasters. There's a bunch of other podcasts after the game. They all seemed to They all seemed to felt. They all felt that the Mavericks during that run, the 17-0 run, did not play well.
To be honest with you, and I'll let you finish. To be honest with you, I felt that way until we went back and watched it.
Right. And I remember when we watched it, I was actually really happy because they didn't fall into Luka step back three.
It was really great ball movement.
It was. And it was wide open shot after wide open shot.
By different guys.
Yes. And they just didn't fall. And unfortunately, Damian dribbled down and pulled up and made a long distance three. So I thought during that run, they played really well. The crowd was going nuts, but they stuck to their game plan. They executed.
Yeah.
And eventually they had shots start falling again, and they basically ended it.
Yeah. And like, they did miss the shots, and I don't know if that was because of the pressure, or if it was because, like I said earlier, it was, Justin
Sometimes you
Jackson
just miss
shooting, or
shots.
maybe
Yeah.
they just happened to miss. So, but the point was, like, while I did feel, the Blazers did go on a run, and it was a pretty amazing run with Damian, the Mavs eventually got control of it. So,
And I think that's really a step in the right direction.
yeah.
Because when you're on the road and you're up by 20 points, the home team's going to make a run.
Yeah.
Guaranteed almost every
Especially
single
if
time.
they have Damian Lillard.
Yeah, and he's shooting like that. He had 47 points. He was just on fire. So it's not really, if they're going to have a run, it's how do you respond to the run. And I thought the Mavericks did a much better job in this game than they have done in the past.
Excuse me. And to your point about them not being able to win ugly games, like, that was a good example of how things kind of got ugly, and they missed the shots for whatever reason, but they were able to pull it out. Now, if that's a better team, I don't know if that happens, and I agree with you. I think that's something they need to learn over time.
Yeah, and they did okay. They did better.
Yeah.
But there were still a couple of plays, like a turnover.
Luka still shot a bunch of threes that were unnecessary, and he needed to just stop shooting them.
With the Luka, I think Luka's just going to be a streaky 3-point shooter. I don't care how many threes he shoots, as long as it's within the rhythm of the game.
Yeah.
My concern is late in the game. When the game really matters. I don't want him to turn into a Westbrook.
Yeah.
Who...
Just hero shots.
Yes, and 1 out of 10 games he'll make it and everybody goes nuts and it's awesome. But the other 9, he's shooting these step backs. It's just bad shots.
Yeah.
So late in the games, I would like to see better decision making from him. And it's so sad that we're like that. The guy's 20 years old. It's like if he wasn't averaging 29 points a game, he'd have a free pass to do whatever, but because he's so good, it's like, well, if you're this good, you got to be even better. It's just not fair to the dude.
I mean, he's a second-year player. Like, most second-year players
do what he's doing,
there
except
are
they're just
no
not as
expectations.
good. Exactly.
It's like when you look at what Jaren Jackson Jr. is doing for the Grizzlies, it's
almost like a free pass.
Yeah, he's not a superstar, but if he has a good game, it's like, sweet, this guy has a bright future, and it's like. So, Luka is amazing, and I think he's going to be, or is already, one of the best players, in a top 10 player in the league. But yeah, there's things that... okay.
Yeah, sorry. Another thing I thought about with that one was his decision-making, but also being more physical offensively.
Yeah.
Because to your point, you were talking about how... He can't always finish when the guys are really physical on him, a lot like LeBron James does.
Yeah.
And I feel like he needs to, instead of trying to get a foul call,
just try to make the shot.
Insert his will and be physical and make the shot anyways. And sorry to cut you off.
Well, yeah, like to that point, sometimes guys, Luka does this too, he shoots or whatever to try to get a foul call. And I'm like, just shoot it to try to make the shot. And then if they call a foul, they call a foul, but try to make it. Like, that's the point of all of this. But yeah, like, there's some things that are skill, and there's some things that are just experience that you just have to learn. Like, being able to make 3-pointers is a skill. He clearly has that. But knowing when to shoot it or when to not, that comes with experience.
Yeah. And the good thing is for Mavs fans, next year he'll probably be a finished product. At the rate that he learns the NBA game, next year he could be averaging 33, 34 points a game and be the most dominant player in the league.
Speaking of which, he's a starter.
Oh, yes. All-Star game starter.
In the All-Star game.
Definitely deserved. Ooh, there's a theory.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wait, no. Okay, you tell me yours, and then I'll tell you.
It was on Locked On Mavs.
Oh, yeah. I think I heard it too.
Yes. Yeah. So Isaac Harris and Nick Angstead talked about how Luka, you couldn't vote for him for 2 days.
Oh, I didn't hear that theory.
Okay, so after the first ballot came back and he was beating LeBron in the votes.
Oh,
there
was a day when it was broken.
It was broken.
And I remember that in the morning I was trying to vote and I was like, that's weird. But then I heard it was everybody and I was like,
It wasn't, though.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, so you could not vote for Luka for like a whole day. Luka only lost by like 160,000 votes.
Yeah.
So
That's one day of voting.
Some people believe that it's rigged, so LeBron would win.
It's not enough to draft or to rig the NBA draft. We have to rig the All-Star draft.
That's just a fun theory. Obviously, I don't think it's real. But in all honesty, how many votes did he not get during that time period?
In all honesty, the voting was broken for a day, and the NBA didn't do anything about it. So even if it wasn't rigged, we're tallying votes, and you can't vote for a guy. This isn't fair. Anyways,
Luka will probably be the starter for the next 12 years.
Yeah.
I mean the captain.
Well, especially since he actually gets voted in. Dirk should have been a starter his entire career. But he was only a starter twice, and I think that was because of injuries. Yeah, he was never voted in as a starter. But thankfully, people like Luka. He's kind of a flashy player and all that, so he'll get voted in. But yeah, I was disappointed he's not a captain. But man, when I saw it, because you weren't at home.
I was driving.
You were driving home, yeah. And I was watching it. It was just it was just awesome. It was so cool to see. And then you realize, man, this is big. He's 20 and he's an all-star star. This is such a big moment for him. Aside from me being a fan, but as a person, that's a big moment for him.
It's like what Carmelo said, as Mavs fans, do we appreciate what we have with him? Yeah. And I mean, the last guy to start the All-Star game at around the same age was LeBron.
Yeah.
Back in 2005. And there's been a lot of superstars in the league between 2005 and now. Steph, Anthony Davis,
Derrick Rose,
Giannis, Derrick Rose. None of these guys started the All-Star game as young as Luka is.
He's the 6th youngest player ever to start.
Yep.
And the youngest since LeBron.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Rashard Phillips would tell you that he...
it's inflation.
Yeah, it's inflation.
He's also the youngest European ever to be voted in as a starter.
So it's going to be awesome. Like I said, I think he'll be the captain probably 12 times out of the next 12 years. I mean, after him in the West...
Well, it's
he
LeBron.
Destroyed. Yes, but LeBron's going to retire in 6 months.
Well, here's the question. LeBron wants to play for another 5 years. But he's not going to be like LeBron for 5 years. So as LeBron gets older, if he starts declining, does he still get voted in as the captain?
No, because this year he wouldn't have if it wasn't rigged.
Yeah. Gosh darn it. Okay. I'm just excited. I can't wait till if Luka drops 40 in the game, and then I'm going to tweet out, but can he do it against Kansas State?
No, what I think is going to happen is the only person that's going to take it seriously is going to be Young. It's Trae Young. And Trae Young's going to drop 40, and Luka's going to have 12. Yeah. But the whole time he's just going to be joking around and playing.
Throwing alley-oops and stuff.
Look, I'm Fox. Look, I'm Fox.
Prediction, Trae Young is going to win All-Star Game MVP.
No, never going to happen. He shouldn't even be a starter.
Well, because the guy that wins it is the guy that is the only one that cares. The only one that took it seriously. Yeah, and I think he will. And of course, this is all, I'm dogging on him so much, but I don't care. Yeah, I think he's going to go for it, and therefore I think he'll win it.
Yeah, and look, Trae Young, and I thought, again, Isaac Harris mentioned, it's nothing against Trae Young, but you are literally on the worst. You are literally on
no offense, but you suck.
But he's literally on the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
How do you start a guy in the All-Star game with the best players in the league when he is on the worst team in the league?
And obviously, I don't think Trae Young sucks.
No, obviously, I think he's an all-star, but
it's
not the starter.
It's so hard to judge his talent level because they are the worst team in the league. So it's like every sucky team has a 20-point scorer, and you never know. You're like, is he really that good? Because sometimes
you put him on a good team and they're 15, 14.
Because sometimes, Anthony Davis was very good on the Pelicans when they sucked, and he's very good on the Lakers. But some guys, they average 20 on a sucky team and 10 on a good team.
Happens all the time.
So,
Chris Bosh, Kevin Love.
Yeah. So it's is he really 29 points a game? I don't know. And then that's not that is kind of a diss, but it's also just a question that I can't answer.
And honestly, defensively, Like, first of all,
Actually, you know what? I can answer it.
he doesn't really try defensively, but even if he did, he's so little and so unphysical on the defensive end, provides zero resistance. They can't stop anybody.
Yeah, I don't want this to turn into a Trae Young
Well,
bash. It
my
just
whole point
happened
was
because
he
were
should
talking
be a
about
starter,
All-Star game,
yes,
yeah.
and he'll probably take it seriously to prove that he belongs
win MVP.
and everybody else is just going to be like
Yeah.
having fun.
Okay, so who picks Luka? LeBron or Giannis?
I think LeBron will pick Luka. I think he's going to talk to Anthony Davis so Anthony Davis doesn't get butthurt. But he picked Anthony Davis last year first.
Yeah.
And that was his way of saying, hey, come play with the Lakers. But I think this year, my prediction is LeBron's going to pick Luka. Maybe not because he may not be deserving to be the first pick, which I think he is.
Yeah, because once you take off Giannis and LeBron,
it's Luka. But
Yeah.
a lot of people, that's kind of a hot topic.
yeah.
So I think he'll pick Luka. I think Luka will be the first pick.
Yeah, I kind of think that too. And they asked LeBron, you picked Davis first last year, you're going to do the same thing. And he kind of just laughed and was like, I don't know if I like him that much. I don't know what that means.
He gave himself an out.
Yeah. And I think he
himself
did
an
that
out.
on purpose.
Exactly. I do too. As soon as I saw
Yeah.
that's what I thought, because I think LeBron has a lot of respect for Luka.
Yeah.
And I think because Luka, grew up crying over LeBron's posters, that
Yeah.
he's going to pick him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think he will.
It'll be his only chance to play with them.
Yeah, that's true.
And to Luka,
it better
that's
be
going to
his
mean
only chance to play with him. Yeah.
To Luka, that's going to mean a lot.
Yeah.
And I think LeBron recognizes that. And quite honestly, I might cry a little if I see that.
I was going to say something until you got all emotional on me.
But Luka's going to cry when he's on the court. As soon as that ball's tipped up into the air and he realizes, wait, I'm on the same team with LeBron
Yeah,
James?
imagine doing an alley-oop with LeBron. Like, how would Luka even react to that? Like,
he would cry.
Yeah, and then he better come back home to Dallas and just erase all of that from his mind.
Yes.
Because it ain't happening.
Yeah, because Anthony Davis is coming here.
What? Was that just a guess?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So to summarize the potty, Mavericks got Tyson Chandler Jr.
Oh my God.
Delon is being traded.
No.
Porzingis should always play the 5.
Agreed.
And Luka is
Gonna go down as the greatest player ever to play.
Yeah. You know what? That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think he is.
Oh, okay. Oh, you
I honestly believe he will be considered the greatest player to ever play the game. At some point in history, statistically, somebody's going to have to be better than Jordan. He cannot be the greatest player of all time forever. Somebody's going to surpass him.
Some people say LeBron already
And that's a load of crap.
Yeah. But
it's
I mean,
a load of crap.
Look at what LeBron has done. And in our eyes, he still hasn't surpassed Jordan.
But he's only one.
He's got 3 rings. How many MVPs? 5?
4. I think 4. Yes.
He's the top 3 all-time leading scorer. Top 4.
Yeah.
He probably will get to the second. I don't think he's not going to pass Kareem.
At most, he's equal to Jordan.
I still say he's second.
I do too. I think it's Jordan and then LeBron.
Yeah.
But I just, for what I've seen from a guy as young as Luka is, as smart as he is, and as skilled as he is, when he is 27, 28 years old, he's going to be unstoppable. It doesn't matter what defense you put on them.
Yeah.
His size and his athleticism. Yes, his athleticism to do what he does as a 6'7" player.
I love the little mini conversations that you have.
Because, I'm arguing with people that are...
You know what they're going to say.
As soon as they hear that athleticism...
I don't think anyone listening to this podcast would say that.
But anyways, I know I'm a fanboy, and I know I'm biased. But
that doesn't make you wrong.
If I say it now and I turn out to be right,
you can claim it.
So I am claiming it. I think Luka's going to go down as the greatest player to ever play the game.
And we'll see you in 20 years when he retires.
Yep.
It all depends on championships, really. He has to win at least one. And honestly, to be the greatest of all time,
he's got to win 4 or 5.
To 5.
Yeah.
Or match
6.
Jordan.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, even Jordan, Bill Russell won 11, so it's not like...
Yeah, but that doesn't count. That was like 100 years ago.
Well, I'm glad we decided that.
Yeah, well, there was like 4 teams in the league.
Yeah, but he was also playing against Wilt Chamberlain,
the
and
only
Jerry
other
West,
good guy,
and Oscar Robertson. All these guys were in the league
fact
at
that
the
you could
same
name
time.
the entire starting lineup of the All-Star game, you know.
But I'm just saying, like, all these guys, it's not like he was playing against, Allen Iverson and Tracy. Like, these guys are all-time greats in themselves.
Name another one.
Another guy that played back then?
Yes.
I don't know.
Exactly. Because they're not that good.
Yeah, but
You named literally the only
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
I mean, later.
Yeah,
later.
But, I mean,
but
okay.
I don't think Bill Russell ever played Kareem. He played Wilt. I don't think he ever
no.
played Kareem.
Yeah, you're right. But Kareem and Wilt overlapped.
Yeah, but when Wilt was a lot older.
Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't much of Wilt's
you're
prime.
right. Yeah. Okay.
So the fact that you named all of them.
Patrick Ewing.
Close enough. Shaq. Apparently, Shaq played so long ago that maybe he did play then because the game sucks now in their minds.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other guys.
They don't exist.
Was Pistol Pete back then? I'm just naming names
the
that I
fact
know
that you have
now.
to ask that question.
I'm just going to throw out random names.
Yeah.
To make me sound smarter. Hey, remember Fat Lever? Wasn't he a good guy?
I think he was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Or World Be Free.
You know how it's like...
Yes.
Like, you know what? He reminds me of Johnny Shuglablah.
Okay. I love when it's Jeff Skin Wade that does that because he has such a knowledge.
You know what he reminds me of? Alan Parkerson.
Yes. Because he, well, only he knows that because he's watched it. He knows those dudes. He knows their skill level. But we're like, dude, we don't have that mind.
or like, a guy like Luka will drive in for like a wide open layup and it's like, yep, just like Johnson Monroe.
Yeah. I remember him.
He did layups just like that.
Yes. We don't know these guys like you do. Can you use somebody we know?
Anyways, yeah, so great pod. Good trade, and we'll see you in 15 years when Luka's the GOAT. And his statue can be right next to Dirk's statue.
Yep.
I
wonder when Dirk's statue is going to come out.
I don't know. I heard that his jersey could be retired as early as this year, but I feel like they should do it next year just because.
Do it after Wade has done his. That's all I care about.
Oh,
Did they already do Wade?
Did you hear? They're doing a 3-day ceremony.
Look, another thing I'm gonna go on record saying. Dwyane Wade is the most overrated player to ever play this game.
Right there with you.
I'm sorry.
I'm right there with you. Let's run it down. First of all, never won an MVP. Okay. Second of all, 06 rigged.
I mean,
and his other 2 rings, he had LeBron
and Chris Bosh.
But
we act like
and they went against the Thunder, who did not belong there anyway, because they just happened to beat the Spurs in the previous series that the Spurs really should have won.
Yes. And no, Dwyane Wade is the most overrated player ever. I'm not saying he's not an all-star. I'm not saying he's not a Hall of Famer. But let's stop acting like he's a legend.
Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think he'll get in.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's deserving. I mean, I guess maybe he's just not on the level of Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki. I don't care what Miami people will say. He's not on that level, and we're treating him a 3-day ceremony.
I know.
I mean, for crying out loud.
Okay, now what he meant to Miami, the franchise, I get that.
Not even
and
that
maybe
he
it's
left.
Just about the. Well, yeah, true.
But
he went back and retired there.
Yeah, well, but he left.
Yeah,
they didn't want him. They didn't re-sign him.
Yeah, true.
He went to go play with his LeBum.
I feel like we're just at this point. We're
just rambling.
Ranting.
I think you know why? Because the Mavericks played on the West Coast last night,
and we didn't go to bed till like 12:30.
Right now, we're just running off endorphins.
I'm a little delirious.
Yeah, exactly.
Delirium. I am delirium. Are you done? Are we done here?
I was done like 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at DallasHoopsCast. I'm at _Sydney Myers. Martin is at Martin L. Myers. The website is DallasHoopsCast.com. Articles, news, shop, jerseys, things.
Okay. Great advertisement there for the web.
Thank you guys for listening.
The World Wide Website page.
Go to worldwideweb.dallashoopscast.com. Get it? Because it's like www, World Wide Web, www. Somebody that's listening got that joke. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys.
Oh my God, just end it.
I always say that we'll see you guys in the next episode.
I'm just going to take off.
We're not actually going to see them. We're not even going to hear them. Thanks guys for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. I almost said article. Okay, bye. I'm recording now. I'm stopping. Oh my God. Tomorrow in this little shop of horrors.